Thank you, Chairman LaHood, and thank you, Ranking Member Davis, for letting me be here as part of this committee today. And thank you to all of you all for what you do and the time that you have spent coming here to talk about this important issue. As a mother and a grandmother, I understand that children need to grow up in a safe and stable household. And because of one of the many hats I've worn throughout my life, I was able to stay at home with my children and still work out of the house. And so I became that mother that walked the halls in the middle school or picked up the kids and took them places. So I was exposed from the time my children were little to many different households. And there were children who knew that they could come play in my basement and be safe. And I still have wonderful relationships with those children today, and they're in their 40s. Because it's so important for children to understand love and understand security and know that they're okay where they are. Ms. Kraft, I want to thank you for sharing your lifetime of work serving children and communities, because we all know that the child welfare workforce is struggling to meet all the needs of the children and their families. The caseloads and the jobs duties that are expected of these caseworkers is such a heavy burden that they carry with them at all time. And many of the examples that Ms. Marquardt shared from her time as a caseworker also highlight the need for innovation in child welfare services. Caseworkers' capacity is absolutely stretched to the limits, and many cannot connect families to the necessary wraparound services and support that they need to prevent entry into child welfare. We should leverage technology to support families in real time and to prevent entry into child welfare. Earlier this year, I introduced the Helping Hands for Family Act, and my bill would permit states to use already allocated money to access online portals that connect families in need with resources. And this tool is designed to connect families with community-based providers, such as pregnancy centers, childcare programs, food pantries, churches, and nonprofits, as well as provide the one-on-one interactions to support families who are facing difficulties. In your experience, I guess this is for Ms. Gruber, sorry. In your experience, serving at-risk communities, how important is one-on-one interaction and case management in helping individuals and ensuring children are safe? And how do you think online platforms can help connect families to resources, much like that you offer at your center? And would it alleviate the child workforce crisis?
Thank you for that question. I think the one-on-one case management is incredibly important, and leveraging the voice of the families in that one-on-one case management, as been previously described, is really important. In terms of online applications at the state government level, we welcome the ability to innovate and try to figure out what's going to get the best outcomes for the families that we serve.
Thank you for that answer. Now to talk about court improvement programs. The courts play a huge role, as we know from other people's experience, in overseeing the success of foster care placements. Last Congress, I introduced the Strengthening Courts for Kids and Families Act, and my bill would reauthorize the court improvement program through 2027, and it provides courts with the ability to implement training for judges, attorneys, and other legal personnel, as well as improve parent, family, and youth engagement in child welfare proceedings. And I'm really excited to work with Congressman Blake Moore on introducing this bill. So Ms. Carr, thank you. Could you share an example of how the court improvement program has been particularly effective in improving child welfare cases in a specific state or context?
Thank you for the question, Congresswoman Miller, and thank you for having introduced that legislation previously and continuing to work on reauthorization. I do have several examples. One of the beauties of the Court Improvement Program is that every state has a Court Improvement Program director. And those directors are extraordinary individuals who do a lot of work and who responded very quickly when I reached out to all of them and asked them to give me some talking points. So I can give you some data from West Virginia in particular. West Virginia has been doing a lot of work, consistent, again, with one of the themes that we've heard about around workforce development issues and issues in particular of recruitment and retention of legal professionals to go into this space. There's been a really big challenge, as in many other states, around that issue. And so they've been holding a number of collaborative engagements with law schools and other legal services providers throughout the state in order to try to fill some gaps. And having an entity like the Court Improvement Program, already established as a part of the Supreme Court in the state has just made a huge difference in being able to address that issue.
Well, thank you. I actually live right on the Ohio River, and so being in a tri-state, we're directly affected by Kentucky, Ohio, and West Virginia, and share the children and the issues. And it is so interesting to see what might go on in Ohio that doesn't happen yet in West Virginia, or vice versa, in so many ways. But thank you all for letting me be in here today, and I yield back my time.
I now recognize